Good evening, everyone. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Okay, so just hang on. Samir, can you able to hear me voice?
I can hear you, Abhay.
Yeah, great.
I've sent you the revised presentation also.
Just give me 1 minute. Good evening, Nandan. Great. So, just give me 1 minute. Okay. Great. We are good to go. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you all. Sorry for a bit of delay. So if you're able to hear my voice properly, all of you, just say audible or clear, sound is clear. So I request few people to comment on the chat box if my voice is clear to all of you. Audible, Rupali, great. So we are seeing almost 30 plus people here. Vidya, Anil, Deepak, John, Dipali, Girard, Jerome, Nisha, Rajlakshmi, Saurav, Abul, Isha, Vinayak, Rohit, Prince, Vishal, Daya, Rupali, Abhay, Raghunandan, Rohit. So I'm seeing a couple of people. Sorry, I couldn't able to take everyone's name. So good evening, everyone. So let me again welcome you all. A very warm welcome. Great evening to start. We started this session a bit early, 7 o'clock. Today is very interesting session, and lots of civil engineers, architects, uh, professionals who are into real estate development. We have people not only from India, from across world. So today's session is very, very important, and we have got a very esteemed guest here. Okay, so the topic of today's masterclass is construction site management challenges in COVID-19 and post-RERA. So basically, people who COVID, everybody knows, I'm very sure, because of COVID, construction have stopped in lots of places. Now they're starting up, pacing it up again. And RERA, people who are from outside India, RERA, Real Estate Regulation Act, is an Indian act which now governs the real estate construction. Okay, so because lots of people who are going to be a new developer, we thought we should also tell you that if you're starting a new project, how you have to look into certain things. Good evening, Sachin. Audible. Great. Okay. Now, so today we have very esteemed guest, Samir Gurjar, and he's a kind of associated with us from very long, almost 3 years. He's also a close friend of mine. He's one of the few people who have seen both world of academics and entrepreneurship and all the civil engineering thing. He's also a founder member of uh, Dergiri. How you spell
So it's called dirigir.
Dergiri? Okay,
Spanish word. It means to manage.
okay, great. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I thought. Yes. Okay, and I'm getting some issues. Just hold on. Yeah, so he's one of the co-founder of this company, and so Samir is basically a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering. He's a lead certified professional, and he has a mixed background of construction, expansion, and occupied full facility renovation. He has worked with a couple of noted projects like Alpha Level in Pune, India, residential development of Eco Park. He has done his masters from USA, United States of America, and so that's why he has exposure to Washington State, the construction of market of USA, like Walla Walla, USA, Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center, and all the places which is in US. So he has a mix understanding of Indian construction and the US construction. And since he's managing a couple of good projects across India, he has a decent understanding of the challenges he's facing currently, in their sites. So welcome, Samir, and I'm very sure today's session will be very, very important for civil engineers, architects, real estate professionals. Samir will take you through the presentation. At the end of the presentation will be approximately 40-45 minutes. At the end of the presentation, there will be a question answer session. If you are able to put the chat, and I will ask the questions, or if you want to ask, you can also ask. Okay, so we'll start Samir's session. So Samir, I'm not going to share. Going to handle the presentation to you. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Before I go, I think I broadcast the right presentation. Just hold on. Yeah, this is a right presentation, a revised one. Samir, I'll just take the session. Samir, yes, you can take the session and.
Okay, thanks, Abhay. Good evening to everyone, and thank you for the very warm welcome, Abhay. What I have done here is we are going to look at construction site management.
Samir, we are not able to see your picture. I think you have closed down, or just check. Can you check? Your video is not there. Yeah, perfectly fine. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, perfectly fine. Yes. Yeah.
You can hear me properly as well, right?
Yes, properly. We can hear you. All can hear us.
Okay.
Can somebody reply? Everybody is able to hear. Somebody can respond in the chat. Yes. So Gurudev, Sachin, very good. Everybody is able to hear Samir. carry forward. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks again for the warm welcome, Abhay. What we are going to do for the next 45 minutes or so is we are going to look at construction management. Obviously, construction management has been around for a long time. We are going to look at the recent issues in the last couple of years as pertaining to RERA, which is the Real Estate and Regulatory Act, and obviously the pandemic, which we are all facing in the last 6 months. I'll share some thoughts about the pandemic and how it is affecting the construction management on the site. Then we'll look at some responses to the challenges. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at all of this from a construction management point of view. Okay, we are all construction managers, so it's important that we look at solutions to the challenges that are in front of us. Abhay,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
not able
yes.
to scroll to the next slide.
I'm not able to go to the next. Just hold on. Just check. There will be some button there.
Yeah, so I pressed the button, but it's not moving yet.
It will take some time. Just hold on. Yeah, it is there.
Can you see the next slide?
Yes, yes. We can. Yeah, we can able to see that. Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm not able to see it yet. Okay, so if you can, I have the presentation with me. So if you can see the second slide, I'll just go to the second slide directly. It's not updated yet on my screen.
Else you can also share. You can share your screen and then take it from there. That is also fine if that is some problem.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see it on your screen now. No problem. Okay, so like I said, what we are going to do is the second screen is just loaded. So I'll jump to the third screen directly. So real estate in India has been a bit of a struggle for the last several years. It's not just the last 6 months. I would say since 2014-15, real estate has been struggling. Now there are several reasons why it has been struggling. Let's just look at this so we have a little bit of a background on what is happening in the sector. So basically, there is a lot of supply in the sector and there is not enough demand in the sector. So as a result, what is happening is because of this mismatch, there is a lot of property that is vacant, which is adding on to the developers' troubles. So there were many projects that were launched in the last several years that have not been able to sell and have unsold inventories in place. Now, the big problem here is a lot of these properties that were launched are in the 1 crore, 1.5 crore, 2 crore, 2.5 crore, 3 crore kind of a bracket. So the 1 to 3 crore of bracket has struggled. The demand in the market is for affordable houses, which is in the segment of 30 to 50 to and 60 lakhs. So obviously, because of this mismatch in the demand and supply, there is a lot of inventory that is lying in the market. Now, even though construction contributes to 5 to 6% of the GDP and it generates 5 to 6 crore jobs as far as people who work on the site go every year, the government has not really looked at this sector and has tried to push this sector in the last several years. Since there is an absence of a government push towards this sector, a lot of issues that have been raised by several organizations have stayed as is without any action that is being taken on them. To add to this, there have been several crises in the last few years as far as liquidity of money in the market goes. Hence, developers and builders have been affected with the liquidity issues that have arisen because of the ILFS crisis or other such kind of issues. To add to all of this, the government in the last 3-4 years has tried to introduce several measures one after the other. So, first we had demonetization, which I'm sure everybody remembers. So, in the real estate sector, a lot of transactions took place using cash. Now, after demonetization, obviously the cash type of transactions that took place were reduced and were almost wiped out. So, as a result, what happened is the investor class that was investing in real estate. So, they used to buy a property at one location, sell it at the other. They used to buy land, sell the land. These type of transactions reduced. After demonetization, we had goods and services tax. Again, when it was introduced, there was a lot of confusion as far as real estate goes, whether a project that is in progress, whether it attracts a GST rate and what type of a GST rate it applies. There were several materials that are used for construction which were in the top 28% bracket of GST tax. So there was a lot of confusion in the last few years after GST was introduced as far as construction goes. Now, in the last 3 years, the government has sorted out all of the issues, but still, even today, cement, which is a primary component in most construction projects, still attracts a 28% GST rate. So, even though it is not a luxury item, it still attracts the highest bracket rate. Okay, now, obviously, there has been a lot of request to the government to reduce this rate, but it hasn't happened yet. As a result, the GST implementation on projects, there are still a lot of builders and developers that try and avoid the GST tax and find ways to sell properties without attracting the GST slab, which is obviously very difficult now because the government is monitoring this at a very minute level. Now, the other thing that has happened because of GST is there is an input tax credit system in GST. So, initially, when GST was introduced, builders could avail of the input tax credit. Now, in the last 1 year, the input tax credit has been taken away from the builders. So, this is extra burden that the builders have to absorb now. Yeah, and I'll come back to all of this when we finish our presentation. The third uh, wave of reforms was RERA, okay, and um, the RERA Act was introduced with the concept of creating buying power to the customer. But when it was introduced, okay, this is a law that was introduced by the central government. Each state had to implement it in their individual states. So there are some states which are in the forefront of implementing RERA. The law has been introduced. The law is actually in effect. So for example, the state of Maharashtra has been one of the states which is in the forefront of implementing the RERA law. So all new construction has to follow the RERA law. In terms of builders, this is a paradigm shift from what they were doing before to what they are doing now when RERA was introduced. It completely changed the way in which business was done. So, to summarize, okay, real estate was already struggling. In addition to the struggles caused in real estate because of the mismatch in supply and demand, because of the lack of government intervention in pushing policies that reformed the sector, we had demonetization, GST, and RERA, which is actually good, but which just came in 2 years, 3 years ago. I'll just go to the next slide. Okay, so like I said, RERA was introduced with the idea of reforming the sector. Previously, okay, the builders and the developers had no law that they had to follow. So, which means, in other words, they were free to do business as per their own terms and conditions. Now you had RERA, which is applicable not just to builders and developers, but also brokers and customers. So RERA tried to capture the entire segment of people that are associated in real estate. Now, when RERA first came in, the government was also part of RERA because for any new project that has to be launched, plans have to be submitted to the government for approval. So one of the reasons of delay of projects is the lack of these approvals in a timely fashion. So when RERA first came, there was onus on the government as well to grant these permissions in the required amount of time. Now, unfortunately, when the states implemented the RERA law, okay, that part of the regulation got deleted. Okay, even though okay the law still is okay a very good law that is in place. Okay, now, like I said, this is a paradigm shift in the way business is done. Whether you are a builder or a broker or a customer, you have to change your process of how you have made and done work in the past. So, for example, okay, I think most of all of us are aware of RERA because RERA has been around for 3 years. Okay, but to highlight some of the things in RERA, any new project that has to be launched, the builder has to freeze the plans, freeze the specifications of the project. The builder has to go to the RERA website, has to upload the plans, specifications. He has to build an estimate based on the plans and specifications he is going to use on the project. He has to get approvals. Unless and until he gets approvals, he cannot start the work on the project. So, in terms of how work was being done from a technical point of view, the RERA Act encouraged the builders to streamline their processes and follow a particular sequence of construction. The other big thing that RERA did is RERA said is for a particular project, the builder must create an escrow account which all the revenue collected for that project has to be put into the escrow account, and 70% of the funds in the escrow account have to be used for that particular project only. Now, again, in terms of how work was done before, this is a huge change because builders used to take money from one project, put it on the other, put it on a third. They used to roll the money. So as a result, what happened is projects ran out of money when they needed to make payments to consultants and contractors. Now, every consultant and contractor is working to make and earn money on the project. Hence, when the client, in this case the builder and the developer, did not pay the money on time, depending on the financial capacity of the consultant and the contractor continued the work. After a point of time, when he still didn't get payment, he reduced his resources and slowed down the work. As a result, project used to get affected, projects used to go over time, and obviously when projects go over time, it affects the cost and profitability of projects as well. So the non-payment or the payment that was not happening in time used to cause delay to projects. So RERA again tried to take that away. So from a builder's point of view, from a client's point of view, technical and financial, there was a paradigm shift in the way in which he conducted business. On the other end, you had brokers who used to sell properties for the client. These brokers were now required to register and provide correct information to the buyer. If there was any information that they provided which was not correct, again, they were liable to penalties. And finally, the end user, you and me, if there was any change in the plans and specifications that the builder made, once the contract was signed, the builder had to take our permission in order to make those changes. There was an onus on the builder to finish the work as promised. Right now, again, a big change. One big issue before RERA was projects were not completed on time. As a result, people who had booked homes, okay, which was their dream, did not get their flats, apartments on time. So RERA said that the customer, if the builder delays the possession of the project and if you have taken a loan from the bank in order to finance your project, you are paying a rate of interest to the bank. If the builder delays the possession, you can now ask the builder for compensation for the delay in possession of your flat. Now, this is a huge change because now suddenly the buyers had a lot of power that they could wield on the client, in this case, the builder. So, as a result, after RERA was introduced, okay, the reaction in the industry was quite amusing. Most big builders and developers, so whether it's a Godrej or a Soba, welcomed the law, right? Why? Because they already had these processes in place. They understood the importance of this kind of an act. For builders who are of medium types, they were unsure on whether this is good or whether this were bad. For people who are just starting new, this meant a complete change in their processes, so they were against the act. Now, obviously, in the last 3 years, whether you are a new entrant or a medium sized builder, there is no option but to follow the law. So, as a result, now everybody has got used to RERA. Now, since it's part of the law, no new project can be launched without RERA approval. So this is what happened in the market when RERA was introduced. Okay, now like Abhay mentioned in the beginning, okay, we are at the end of the day project managers. So we are looking at solutions to challenges. Hence, to implement RERA on the site, how are you going to set up your construction management process so that RERA is a part of your process? It's very important to set up your process right from the day you visualize the project. So RERA, you have to comply. So as a result, when you are thinking about planning the project, when you are thinking about designing the project, when you are going to go and get approvals for the project, when you are going to select your consultants and contractors on the project, and ultimately when you are going to execute the project on the site, RERA is going to be a part of all of this process from start to finish. Not only that, under RERA, the builder and the developer has to maintain the project for a period of 5 years after the project has been completed. So right from day one till the date the project is completed, and 5 years after that, you are going to be with RERA. So in order for us to implement RERA, what are we going to do? What is the success mantras to implement RERA on the site? Obviously, when you are setting up the project, you are going to freeze the plans, drawings, and specifications. The estimate that you build is going to be as per the plans, drawings, and specifications, which means, in other words, the planning process now has a greater importance than before, because all of this has to be finalized during the planning and designing process. The timeline that you build for the project has to be a realistic timeline. It has to include all activities of work right from day one till handover of the project. Finally, the drawings that you are using on the site for construction have to match the drawings that were approved by the jurisdictional authorities when you submitted the plans for approval. There cannot be any deviation between the two plans. So issues like unauthorized construction or work on the site not complying to approved plans, all these issues now are a thing of the past. You have to build what is approved. Since RERA mandates the builder to maintain the project for 5 years, the quality of the work has to be of number one quality right from the beginning of the project. Why? If the quality is not good, you are going to have to come to the site and fix it even 5 years after the project has been completed, which was not the case before. So the onus is again on the builder and the developer to build in a quality conscious manner. The last thing is, in those 5 years, there has to be a process, there has to be a system to manage and respond to complaints that customers may. Since the builder has to maintain the project, the response mechanism to complaints that are raised in those 5 years are very important. So a builder has to have a certain response time to complaints that come up in those 5 years. So as a result, right from the start of the project till the end of the project and during the operation and maintenance period for 5 years, we are going to think of incorporating all these best practices in our system. Okay, so the last point that I have here is the focus is going to be and should be to incorporate these practices in our management system. And I'll come back to this at the end of the presentation. Okay, I'll jump to the next topic for today, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, all of us have been hurt in one way or the other by the pandemic. Okay, whether it's our salary, whether it's going out, whether it's the purchase of a new property, okay, whatever we are doing, we have all been affected by it in a big way. Now, it's important to understand from a holistic point of view how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the real estate industry. It's not just the builder, it's not just the consultant, it's not just the customer. Whatever part of the real estate industry you were, everybody has been affected by this. Okay, if you look at numbers, the number of projects that have been launched in the first 6 months of the year is drastically down. The number of units sold in the top 7 cities in India is down by half in the first 6 months of the year. So the market as a whole, number of sales that are happening have been drastically going down because of the pandemic. Now, obviously, there are several reasons for this. Okay, when you are purchasing a property that's 1 crore, 2 crores, 3 crores, you want to see the property, you want to go to the property, you want to have a feel of the property, you want to see the neighborhood. Now, because of the lockdown that was imposed, and there are still certain states that still have the lockdown, there is a lot of fear in people's mind on whether they should step out of the house or not. This fear has led to lesser number of people visiting sites, visiting properties. As a result, sales have slowed down. Now, from a builder's point of view, okay, his whole financial calculations has crashed. Okay, think about this: a builder is putting money into the project. Okay, it may be his own money, it may be money he has borrowed, it may be money that an investor has put into the project. A builder is going to make money when he sells his product, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, it doesn't matter. When he sells the product is when his inflow of money starts coming in. Now, when the inflow of money has been reduced and impacted, now he has to hang on and still continue the construction, but there is no inflow that is happening. As a result, his financial calculations have gone for a toss. The other thing that has happened is the lockdown was for about 2 months. For real estate type of projects, the projects have been delayed to the tune of 6 months. Okay, now why? You must have seen on TV, read in the papers, okay, still happening today as well. Most projects in the state of Maharashtra had laborers from out of the state, migrant laborers that used to come and work in the state of Maharashtra. When the COVID-19 pandemic happened and the lockdown was announced and the trains were shut for 1.5 months, there was a lot of panic and fear in the minds of these laborers. There was no clear communication on when construction could resume. Construction was stopped when the lockdown was announced because nobody could step out. Workers who were on site couldn't work because of the fear of spread of the disease. In a laborer's mind who is working for a daily wage, 300, 400, 500, 600, 1000 rupees maximum, his daily wage stopped. So what did he think? My daily wage has stopped. There is no work on the site. this disease may spread haywire. It's better I go home. So people started in a mass scale on going back to their villages and homes because of this fear that was created. Now, if you're a contractor, again, work has stopped, your inflow has stopped. You have deputed resources in terms of equipment, material, and labor on the site. There is still some labor to retain on the site. So there is some food you are providing, there is some money you are providing, but the inflow of money from the client, the builder to you has stopped. Why? Because the work has stopped. So contractor also got affected in a big way when this happened. If you are a consultant, also your work stopped because there is no work happening on the site. So your site visit stopped, your problem solving stopped. As a result, the entire market got affected. Now, when this happened, okay, I've made a summary of the challenges uh, that I just told you about that happened after the pandemic spread in the last 3 to 4 months. Okay, now a couple of things in here. Um, Obviously, because sales slowed down and inflow of money slowed down, builders became very conscious of the money they had to spend now because they in turn also had to reduce their own costs. So, what did most people do? They started to cut salaries of their own staff. They started with that. They didn't stop there though. They renegotiated contracts with contractors. They renegotiated their loans that they had taken. They renegotiated all transactions that had happened previously. Now, suddenly, there is a lot of pressure on everybody who is involved in the market. Whether you are a money lender, whether you are a contractor, whether you are a buyer, whether you are a material supplier, all your terms and conditions are now being renegotiated because of the pressure to cut on costs because of the pandemic. Obviously, the liquidity that the builder had got severely impacted. Even after the work started a couple of months ago, getting laborers became a big challenge. Why? Because they were all in their homes. And even if they wanted to come back, how could they come back? Only a few trains were running. These are all again migrant laborers from state of Karnataka, West Bengal, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Orissa, who are all coming to the state of Maharashtra. This is not a 3 4 hour journey. Okay, this is a journey that often takes 8 to 24 hours to come to the site by train, right? So number of trains were reduced. So to get laborers back to the site had become a big challenge. Okay. Suddenly, builders realized the value of the laborer on the site. They always knew that the laborer is the person who does the work. He's the one who is physically doing the work on the site. The builder, the consultant, the project manager, the engineer, the supervisor, these are all supervisory and management people on the site. The laborer is the one who is doing the work. They suddenly realized the value of this laborer. So all effort from that point on was one to rejuvenate the sales and to get the laborer back to the site to get the work done. So what did builders and developers do? Okay, obviously they came up with innovative solutions to sell their merchandise. Okay, they sold their merchandise digitally, okay, which was unheard of 6 months ago. They had live tours. They had 3D walkthroughs. They showed plans, they showed sections, they showed Google images of the neighborhood. They tried to do transactions digitally. Okay, and customers who had to buy, who were waiting to buy, suddenly found that the builder is willing to cut his price to sell his property as well. So people who had to buy suddenly jumped and started buying. So as a result, in the last couple of months, sales have started to come back, and the inflow of money that had stopped for some time has started back again. The other thing that the builder did is obviously go to the government and ask for help. Okay, they tried to again get extensions on the interest moratorium that the government had levied. They tried to get an extension of RERA. They tried to get an official delay in completion of projects from RERA. They asked for a cut in stamp duties for registration of properties. They asked for a GST waiver. They asked for interest rates to be reduced on loans that consumers took from banks. Now, obviously, if you have seen what the government has done in the last couple of months, the government has responded to this and has implemented a lot of these measures that builders asked for. And finally, the builder was able to get the laborer back to the site. How did he do this? He said, I will pay you extra money to come back and work on the site. That's the number one thing he did. In addition to that, he said, I am also going to provide conditions for you on the site to guarantee your health and well being. So, what are those conditions? There will be a doctor that comes and checks in. There will be personal protective equipment that I will provide you. There will be masks. I will take your temperature reading every day. I will give you a hygienic place to live on the site. So, all these measures, which were, by the way, already there before, there is a law called as Building and Under Construction Workers Act that has been in India for at least 25 years, that is mandatory, and that talks about the health and well-being of the worker. Everybody is aware of the law, but there are only a few that actually implement and practice the law. Suddenly, all builders and developers are looking to maintain the health and well-being of the worker. So, all in all, the COVID-19 situation was very difficult for all parties who are associated in real estate projects. But there are a lot of good and positives that came out of it in terms of the health and well being of the worker. Now, to wrap this up, okay, I told you at the beginning, a COVID-19 is a pandemic that nobody can anticipate. A RERA is a change in the regulation also that comes once in a while. The focus for all builders, developers is not just to anticipate these kind of changes that nobody knows when they may come up. It's to focus on the processes that have been around for a long time. So, what are these processes? These processes of construction management that have been around for the last 20 to 30 years is what the focus should be. The focus has to be on planning the projects right. The focus has to be on providing spaces that have lot of light and air and are built green. The focus has to be on getting the quality of construction right the first time. The focus has to be on completing the project in a timely fashion by setting up processes and systems, and obviously managing, monitoring, and controlling the processes in a detailed fashion. So, all project management tools, all knowledge areas, all process groups that we have talked about for the last several years, whether it's scope or schedule or cost or quality or safety, risk, communications, procurement, have actually got to be implemented on the site. This is the challenge in front of us for builders and developers. If builders and developers lead this process, obviously all other people who are associated in the project will follow, because the client pays the bill. Hence, the focus must be on improving our construction management processes as a whole that have been now exposed as a result of RERA and as a result of the pandemic. Okay, that's it from my side. Okay, I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Yes. So, Samir, one thing from my side, I will be, what you say to the first-time developers. People will be like every year there are lots of new developer comes, they start construction. So, do you think it's a good time to start new construction, or they should wait and then go forward?
According to me, it's the best time to start new construction. The reason
Okay.
I say this is four things. Number one, there are all the systems, even though they are RERA or other systems, have all been vetted in the last 3 years. So now everybody knows you have to follow RERA. Everybody knows the system that has to be followed. Number one. Number two, as long as you follow the system and you don't take shortcuts in the system, which means you freeze the plans, you get the approvals, you select the contractors based on a technical and financial evaluation, you have a professional agency managing the work, you're monitoring the work, you close out the project, the customers will come. Why? Because for a customer as well, this is a great time to buy. Rates are down, interest rates are down, property rates are down. There are a lot of people who have realized the importance of a home. There are a lot of people now who are working from home. So people have realized that the home, which we have been hearing for a long time, is one of our three basic necessities. Now it has become an even bigger necessity, because not only is it a home, it is also a place from where you are going to do your daily business. So people, first time buyers, people who don't have a home, are now seriously thinking of buying a home, which you will find in the
Okay.
next 6 months to 1 year, the demand will be stronger than what it was before. So first time developer, this is the best time to get into this business. This is the best time to start a new business.
Great. One more question came to my mind. Is this? Do you think this RERA and this COVID has created more impact or other focus on project management, like construction project management? Like, so previously, I can say that.
100% yes.
So, what is your view about it? Like previously, they say,
100% yes.
yeah. So previously, like lots of developer wanted to implement certain things, but they didn't feel any reason to do that. But I think because of this COVID and this RERA, it is like now it is like they want people with project management knowledge. They want people, or rather, they want their team to be equipped with this, right? Is it how developers are also telling the consultants or the contractors that you want to finish the things on time, do this, do that. Is it more severe now?
Absolutely, yes. There is a lot of pressure on everybody. Okay, the pressure to perform, the pressure to deliver in a timely manner has increased. I told you because of RERA, 6 months, or sorry, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, 6 months have gone. Okay, now if you look at real estate projects, 6 months of work not being done as per schedule is a big time impact to the project. So my own project that I'm doing, the original project schedule is 30 months. Okay, we started last year.
Right. Right.
So the builder, even though RERA has granted 6 months official time
Yes.
extension to the project, is still telling us to finish in 30 months, right?
Okay. Okay.
So there is a lot of pressure on people who are doing project management to come up with innovative ways to make up for this 6 months. Okay, so we have started doing the work in two shifts instead of one shift.
Okay.
We have started to reschedule the activities that we were going to do in the next 12 months, and we have started to see how we can start doing them at once. So for example, this is a building that is basement plus ground plus 24 floors. Okay, normally you will do the external plaster after you finish all 24 floors. Now
Okay. Okay.
external plaster on all four sides, okay, takes 3 months to do. So what we are doing now, we are at the 12th floor. We have started our external plaster. We are going to finish the external plaster from the 12th floor to the first floor now instead of waiting till the end of the project. So there is no pressure to reschedule the activities. There is a pressure to increase the resources to finish the work as per the original schedule. We have also been told that you will get a bonus if you are able to finish the work in the 30 months. So, is there a need to relook and revise the project management procedures that have been around? Absolutely, yes. Is there a need to approach specialized project management people who will have this knowledge and who can get it done for you? Absolutely, yes. Think of it this way: cost of a project is 3,000 rupees per square feet. The cost of a project management consultant is 3 to 4% of the total construction cost of the project. Okay, so 3 to 4% is peanuts if he is able to finish the project 6 months on
Yes.
ahead of you or on time for you. So absolutely yes.
Great. So I now open the dais to all the students and professionals. If somebody like to ask question, they can put in the chat. I can ask the question to Samir sir. Ajay has asked a question. Samir, you can also see if you can see, right?
Yeah, I can
Despite
see.
so despite very nice and scientific management during the pandemic, is it not that government policies related to delay approvals of drawings and design shall affect the project and ultimate time accommodation?
Okay, so there are two parts to this. Okay, one is during the pandemic, the government was shut down as well, right? So, the projects that were in the approval stage, obviously, the project approvals have taken longer than they would have taken normally. Okay, even when the project is approved, the people from the government come to the site, inspect the site, check the work, and give you further approvals, right? So, all of this process has been affected because of availability of government officials. So the government recognizes that. So the 6 month extension that RERA has granted, part of the 6 month extension is because they realize that government delays have been affected from their side as well. Now, the focus, okay, a lot of builders, developers, senior people in the industry are all looking up to the government to provide them relief. Okay, now I have a slightly different point of view. The government can only do what they can do. Okay, if you focus on your own systems, processes, approaches, the way you have done things, and the way you can do things, incorporating technology, new systems, processes, cost control, schedule control, quality control, the time that you have lost, maybe not all of the time, but at least some of the time you can get back. So the focus for all of us who are in the construction management industry must be to look at your own processes rather than to look at the government to come and help you and give you relief.
Great. So, Ajay, I hope this is fine with you. You want to ask anything? We've got one question, but Samir, let me see how you can answer it. Is it right time to start brokerage service business? Which is a better opportunity, residential primary sales or commercial property? So, since they have asked in your session, I like your views.
No problem. So again, my answer is the same. This is a great time to launch the brokerage business as well. For the same reasons that I mentioned of why a first time builder should jump into business, a broker should also jump into business because of the same reasons. One additional suggestion that I will give you is talk to the first time developers because they need somebody to sell their properties.
One more question he asked: which is better opportunity, residential primary sales or commercial properties as of now? What is your take? Residential
Um,
properties or commercial properties?
So I would say residential first and commercial second. Okay, commercial is going to take longer to come back than residential. A lot of corporates, a lot of offices are looking at renegotiating their leases. There are several corporates that I know who have put their expansion plans on hold because a lot of people are working from their homes. So if people are working from their homes, what is the need for office? Okay, now
Right.
obviously offices are going to be required. Offices are not going to go away, but for the office sector to revive, it is going to take slightly longer than the residential sector to revive. So brokerage first in residential, then in commercial.
Great. I got a question from Sachin. Sir, can you share the process to start a new business who wants to be a developer? So quickly, if you have, I think it's a very big question, but if somebody wants to become a developer, what he should look forward to? What should one or two step he should say? Sachin Rai.
So Sachin, look at my slides 11 through 14. Okay, that basically gives you an outline of how you can start and what you need in order to succeed. Okay, if you want a book, okay, look at the project management book of knowledge. Okay, look at A to Z of construction site management by Mantri developers. Everything that you need is in these two books. If this still doesn't answer your question, okay, my email address and phone number is on the first slide. Call me anytime. Okay, you can come to my office as well and we can discuss this in detail.
Sure. So, Sachin, you got a mentor now. Okay. We have one question from Dr. Faisal. Okay. Faisal, I think this is not a brokerage business. It is a construction class. So, we'll take this later on. Ajay has asked, is it that the RERA industry survive during this pandemic at the cost of reduced price of the property? If this is the case, then builders shall not survive nor the industry. Well, it means like
No,
he's
that
saying
is
that.
not the case. That is not the case, Ajay. That is absolutely not the case. Okay, builders have survived because of their financial prowess to hang on, even though the situation is very difficult out in the market. There is a financial hit that they have taken, like I explained earlier on, but builders have been able to hang on. Okay, there are some builders who have been completely wiped out, but mostly builders have been able to hang on because of two reasons. One is properties that they sold before the pandemic hit. Second is some properties that they sold during the pandemic. And more importantly, now the demand has started to come back, right? So the next 6 months, the next 1 year, you will see a lot of demand for properties, right? So builders are hoping that demand will revive and demand will sustain, and the properties that are unsold, they will be able to sell. Okay, so they have been able to hang on because of their own prowess and not because of reducing the rates of the properties.
Great. We have a question from Sunil. For work from home people would prefer to work from their hometowns. So would demand of budget home be there in mega cities like Pune now?
Demand for mega homes will be there. However, the planning and design of the spaces is going to change. The you may still want an extra room in your property, okay, but people don't have incomes
So
anymore. The
I think
disposable income that they had.
Samir, he said budget homes, not mega homes, budget homes. So would demand of budget homes will be there in mega cities? So like you said, would you think demand of budget home will increase because of this pandemic?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So Sunil, I think you got your answer. We have just corrected it. Prince has said, sir, is it possible to specify situation? If site will have public-private partnership, this can increase liquidity. I I don't know what this is a question has asked by Prince Patel.
So there are actually two parts to his question. Okay, the first part is liquidity in the market. Okay, and liquidity, there is absolutely no liquidity in the market just now. Okay, for the reasons that I've explained before, the liquidity is starting to come back, but currently there is very less liquidity in the market. Second is public private partnerships in real estate type of projects are very few and far. Why? Because the builder doesn't trust the customer. Okay, there is very, for this model to work. Okay, so for example, if you are from Pune, okay, Magarpatta city, okay, the builder made an agreement with the farmers and took their land. So there was trust that the builder had on the farmers. There was trust that the farmer had on the builder. Okay, these models are very far and few in India because this trust factor is not there. So public-private partnership in real estate projects is not happening right now.
Great. Amarjit has a question. Now the risk is high. So how can we minimize the risk in the real estate business? So he's asking if the risk is very high, how to minimize it. I think he want to say whether you
Risk,
want to.
risk in
Yeah.
terms of what?
Risk is high means he's saying that. Amrit, can you clarify what do you mean by risk? Risk is means inventory is high, things are not working, money is not coming. So that could be the risk, high risk. So
So again, from a builder's
so
point of view, like I said, the demand has started to come back, right? So the risk is because of properties that are not sold. So that is starting to come back. The risk is of not getting the work done, but the labors have come back. Okay, material is now available. Um, Designs are being issued on time. Government officials are starting to visit the site, grant the approvals. So the risk of all these factors has now started to come down. So work is being done now. Okay, work is not stopped anywhere, right? So both risks, the money risk and getting the work done, are both happening now. So it's no longer a risk.
okay, so we'll take one or two more questions. Vishal has asked that you have asked about two books. One is project management, and other is I think A to Z book, right? A to Z by
Yeah, so it's A to Z of construction project management by Mantri Developers is the first
by
book.
yeah Mantri developers. So Vishal, you can take it. Uh,
And the
Saurav
second
has
book is Construction Extension to Project Management Book of Knowledge, 6th edition.
sixth edition. So that is something like. Saurav has asked question: how many minimum amount develop the real estate project and duration of order approval for the start of project. So Saurav, I think this is not right point to ask this because it is depend upon state to state. Ajay has asked question: do you have any idea about central government having fresh proposal to boost real estate sector? Anything you know recently about central government which they are talking about?
So they are working on it actively, right? If you have seen what happened in the state of Maharashtra a couple of weeks ago, stamp duty has been reduced from 5% to 2%, right? All states are looking at ways to encourage real estate. Why? Because one, when real estate is happening, all sections of the market are rolling, whether you're a vendor, material supplier, contractor, labor. Okay, everybody has work, everybody is selling, the demand is back. So government is actively looking at ways to boost real estate. There is a lot of steps that they have taken to infuse liquidity in the market. It has not yet come to a project level, but it's a matter of time before it comes. Government is holding meeting with banks, asking them to lend. Government is looking at what else they can do in order to boost the real estate segment. So they are 100% actively working on it.
Great. One question I just came in mind. See, since you work as a project consultant somewhere, you also work as a contractor. So, if a civil engineer want to become contractor at this age, how, what are the few things he should like talk to the developer so that he knows that he's in right track? Because lots of young people, civil engineer, they want to become a contractor or project management consultant, but they do not know how to deal with this real estate developers. Any one input, I think it will be help. It will help everyone to listen your views, because since you are managing the developer like anything.
Okay, so I won't give one view. Okay, I'll give four views
Okay,
because
great,
this is important. Okay, the for a fresh civil engineer, okay, the first thing that the civil engineer has to do is to get experience on the site. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's a high-rise building or a bungalow or a township, whatever the project must is, you must get experience on the site. You must understand how the construction actually is done on the site. You must see all items from excavation to finishing. Once you have this experience on the site, step number two has to look at functions that happen in the office, which is basically purchasing, estimating, sales, billing. These are all the functions that happen in the office. So for a young engineer, once he has site experience, he has to get experience in these fields in the office. Third part is, once he has both this experience of site and office, only after that can he think of becoming a contractor on his own. Okay, don't jump into becoming a contractor directly, because it is very difficult to succeed without this exposure. Now, how long does it take to do this? Okay, anywhere from 5 to 10 years minimum. Okay, so if you're a fresh engineer out of college, for you to get the exposure that I just talked about is going to take you a minimum of 5 to 10 years. Once you have crossed this, then you can think of doing something on your own, whether it is a contractor or a builder or a developer or a project management consultant.
great. I think it's a wonderful advice. I got one question from Sunil sir. If possible, please address this. I mean that people would like to work from their hometowns and not cities like Pune, where they were only working. So would demand of budget homes be there in Pune? Like, so what he want to say is that lots of people who are from not from Pune, they moved back to their hometown. So now if they moved back to the hometown, the demand will be there at hometown, not in the Pune. So how you see it? So I think this is a question.
Okay, so there are two, three views on this. Okay, one is in basically, if you are from the construction industry, okay, you are a laborer on the site, you are a supervisor, you are an engineer, you are a project manager, it doesn't matter who you are. Okay, construction work today doesn't happen from home. Okay, it happens on the site only. Okay, so if you're still stuck in your hometown and you are waiting that or you're trying to work from home, it is not going to work. You have to go back to the site and do the work from the site. Okay, so all my supervisors, engineers, and project managers have all gone back to the site and worked. Now, the pandemic, you have no control over. You don't know whether it's going to be there for 2 more months or 6 more months or 1 more year. You don't know when the vaccine is going to come. So it's best that you take safety precautions and go back to work. Okay, this is point number one. Second is, the demand for budget homes is going to be in mega cities and it's going to be in villages as well, right? Why? Because now lot of governments are pushing development agendas in their own states. If you have seen what is going on in Uttar Pradesh, or you see what is going on in West Bengal. Okay, these people are pushing projects of development in their own states. So if you look at the exodus of laborers that have visited in the last 7 years, you will find a steady decline over the last several years. Why? Because now the laborers have work in their hometowns. They don't have to come to the state of Maharashtra to work. So the number of people that are migrating is decreasing for the last several years, because the demand and development now is not just happening in Maharashtra or Gujarat or Rajasthan, it's happening all across India. So if you're from a village, there is 100% demand that is going to be in your village, if not today, in the next 5 years. So don't worry. If you're anywhere in India, I think this is the best time to be in the construction industry.
Great. So I think, Samir, can you go to the slide where your number and email ID is there? Can you go to the slide? Which is, no, I'm not seeing it.
It's the first one. Should I put it here in the chat box?
Yeah, please, because lots of people might like to take consultation from you, because they're from all over India. So it will be great if they can connect with you for. Yeah, Samir sir has given the email ID and the phone number, and he's a great mentor. Anybody like to do any help, any business, he can connect with him. Okay. So Chetan has asked your views. This is the last question. Sorry, I'm already repeated delay. Last question. Your view on this RERA construction, like construction management, project finance, etc. subject should be part of the graduate syllabus now. I maybe civil engineering. Do you think that it should be the part of graduate syllabus?
Yeah,
RERA
it should
construction
be.
management.
100% yes, but I think more than that, okay, every civil engineer must be compulsorily made to work for 2 years on the site before they are granted a degree. Okay, I think that is more essential than these subjects. When I graduated from civil engineering and went on the site, even though I had a degree, I couldn't understand and do anything on the site. Right? So, site experience, I would say, is more important than
Yes.
all of these other subjects. So, I would say yes, introduce these subjects in the 4 year curriculum and make compulsory 2 year training before you grant degrees to engineers.
Great. It's like doctors, like you have to go to
Absolutely.
areas and do it. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone. I think I have taken lots of questions here, and especially I do thank Samir. It was wonderful. I think everybody enjoyed. So if you enjoyed this session, just say yes. So Samir knows that you have really enjoyed the session. Yeah, please put your comments. Great. So, Samir, you can see the comment. Everybody has really enjoyed the session, and
Thank you.
we'll
Appreciate
surely,
it.
yes. So we really will get back to you guys with more of such sessions with Samir sir. Sooner or later, and we really like to thank everyone for coming here and giving your time. So, Samir, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you soon. So we'll close this session. And thank you very much once again. Anything last thing you like to share to people, because I think any one suggestion you can do, take it for the night. Anything to ponder about.
No, I think I've given a lot of suggestions. Eat well and
So,
sleep well.
yeah, great. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye bye. Thank you, Samir. You can close now. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah. Bye bye. Take care. So thank you very much, guys. And I think it was a great session. And we'll keep coming with you the new sessions. The next session will be very, very interesting. We have a person from Dubai. He is a project manager in a very big firm in Dubai, and he's going to talk about facility management, which is very new. He managed a very big project. So next week we're going to have a person from Dubai live talking to you guys. All people who are in civil engineering, real estate should make best out of it. Okay, so thank you very much for today's session. We look forward to see you all for next session. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. Good night.